He didn't have an awful lot of leads. Most of them came from past clients. Now, we do know that past clients that you've done a good job for are your best source of business because it cuts the selling cycle down because they know who you are. And I also think that clients that we did not win, particularly those where we came in second, I must have made, say, 7, 8 calls yesterday, of which half of them were unhappy with their PR firm choices. Where we came in, oh yes, I remember you guys did a great job. Yeah, well, we are in the market again, or we're going to be in the market in for 2010. His skill was turning a small opportunity into a substantial account. He was able to surround an account. He was good at moving up the food chain. Our firm always came in the middle and moved up. Do you know what he means by that? Any thoughts? In other words, what he is saying is he didn't know the guy who was president. He knew somebody who was in middle management or a junior level person. I always cite the way we got the IBM count, which we had for 8 years in this firm, and multiple divisions that we represented, was through a junior level executive who interviewed with Robin, I believe, and decided to go to IBM instead of going to Makovsky and Company. And when somebody came by and said they were looking for a PR firm, this junior executive said, oh, I interviewed at this really great firm. And that was how we got in. So interviewing people is very critical because these people will land somewhere someday. And they are sources of business too. So when you think about who's in the network, people that are interviewed are very critical. It was sort of insidious. He always made a point of going to the next level up and touching base. What he's saying also is that the people that we know now, they're going to move up the food chain in the companies that they're with. So they're going to get higher. And so you're going to know somebody who might have been, just an executive who's now going to be a vice president. So they're going to have more influence than they had before. Okay, and then they talk here about speakers and writers. He built his stature by writing prolifically for law reviews and journals and speaking often on panels. So that's why we encourage people here to get involved like that, because it does give them stature. And stature is important when you go out to sell. Everybody isn't going to know you, but there will be referrals that come from the people that you work with in these extracurricular organizations. Or people will say, oh, well, he or she is a thought leader in our industry because they're so prolific in what they write. And that means standing and recognition. He had an aggressive speaking and writing schedule. So recognition was coming that way. So while you're slaving away on an article, while might say, oh, this is taking forever, the end result is that it is going to appear, it does become a reprint, it can be sent out to these prospects that you know, so it's another reinforcement. She built her business by speaking. For years, she spoke to every group she could get in front of. That's pretty much why when we get these invitations to speak before various groups, I always think it's worth doing it. It doesn't have to be the perfect group. It could be worth it because you're going to get more seasoned at doing that kind of thing. So it might just serve your own purpose. It also is definitely putting you in a position, same thing we do with our clients, we put them in a position where they are going to be looked at as more of an authority. This is some comments on cold calling. Basically, he got his business through cold calling. He would decide, now this is the technique, what he's talking about, I've used it. You're going to go, you make a decision that you're going to go to a city. You're going to Cincinnati. And in advance of you're going to the city, you're going to get 5 appointments in that city. And you start writing letters, you pick out the number of companies you want to see, and you do a follow-up. You may end up with only 3 appointments. You may end up with no appointments sometimes. But it is a technique that does work for a lot of people, and it is it's cold. This guy also, if you look in the second paragraph, he talks about meeting second-level people. He's talking about, he's not dealing with the top. Business doesn't only come from the top. Business comes from all levels. And of course, if you do good work for your clients, that's obviously you're at an advantage because they want you when they move on. Because he says right here in the second sentence, when they moved on to another company, as some of them always did, he would stay in touch and eventually get work. He never lost touch, and he had a real knack for cultivating these second and third level people. He had a skill for picking out people on the way up. I think, a lot of times it's obvious. Some people are just very good at what they do. You know they're going to eventually grow, and you want them for your relationships. There are some people in business that feel that, everybody wants somebody for something. It's true. That's what business is about. It's favor trading. Everybody does want you for something, and if you're not where you were, you're less inviting to be with not because you have an odor, but you're no longer a president, or you're no longer vice president, or you're no longer whatever you are. That puts you in a position why other people want you. So that's what business is about. And it's the kind of thing, if you're not comfortable in that world, then you shouldn't be in it, because that's the way the world operates. There's a give and take, there's a mutuality, and that's a critical factor in networking. Ford Harding talks about the accumulation principle, and this is a pretty fundamental thing. If you keep the clients you have and you add new ones, your business will grow faster than if you just do one or the other. Now that's a fundamental, that's how we grow. And it's a challenge particularly, I would say, in public relations, where sometimes we can't always prove our merit. It's getting easier today with the advent of the internet, but we can't always prove our merit. And to avoid losing clients. But we decided a number of years ago that if we can have a 70 to 80% client retention rate, that this company can grow faster, as opposed to a 50% retention rate. Because you have to replace 50% of your business, and you have to add another 15 or 20% of revenues on, so it makes it harder. You have a bigger leap to take. So all this is showing here is, this is not scientific. This is that this company retained 80% of their business. The first year they had $100, they retained $80. They added $43 in new business, so that's $123. Each of those businesses grew a bit, so they had $151. And there's this theory, and there was a book out called Client for Life. And what Client for Life means is that you've done great work for your client, they move to another company, and I think you have a situation like that right now, somebody that Kona brought in that moved to another company, and she liked what we did, and she's now talking to us again. That's Client for Life. And there are some clients, there have been a number of clients that are in every group. I think that's, there's Johnson Controls, there's a lot of the clients we've gotten in health, relationships that people have made when the client was with the previous company and you're their guy. They like the way you operate. They want you with them in the next job. So there's less of a competitive environment, and you are at an advantage. So Client for Life means that you've hooked in with that person.